Hello again. So, on to our next Disney book. I promise I'll go on to other books too, but I just have mostly Disney books currently. I will write a blurb on my Facebook about how you can help if you want to help expand my collection of books. Today is The Sorcerer's Apprentice. So let's read the back. Mickey is an apprentice to a powerful sorcerer and dreams of one day being a sorcerer himself. When he tries on his master's hat, Mickey performs magic of his own and makes a giant mess. Will Mickey have everything cleaned up before the sorcerer finds out? Let's find out. Right. So we have these wonderful brooms in the beginning. And let's see. Here is our cover page. Alright, let's start our book. Long ago, there lived a wise sorcerer. He had a wonderful hat, and when he wore it, all he had to do was think of magic thoughts, and they would come true. If he thought of a butterfly, out of nowhere, beautiful colors would swirl into shape and take flight. But only the sorcerer knew the magic words that would make it disappear. The sorcerer was very busy. He did not have time to tend to his castle and still perform his brilliant magic, so he had a helper, an apprentice named Mickey. Mickey did all the work in the castle. He swept the floor, he chopped the wood, he carried the water from the fountain into the castle and poured it into the cauldron. It was hard work. If only I had that hat, Mickey thought. I could just think of my work into being done. One night, as Mickey was filling the cauldron, the sorcerer took off his hat and placed it on the workshop table. Mickey glanced at the amazing hat longingly. If only he could try it on, just once. Mickey watched as the sorcerer cleaned up his workshop and quietly shuffled up the stairs to bed. Mickey noticed that the sorcerer had left his hat downstairs on the workbench. Mickey was alone. Now was his chance. Mickey walked over to the table and slowly reached out for the hat. Mickey tried to stop himself, but the temptation was too great. He had seen amazing magic the sorcerer could perform with the hat and longed to have magic of his own. He carefully lifted the hat from the table and placed it on his head. Finally, he would be a sorcerer too. Mickey looked around the room. His eyes fell on an old broom leaning against the wall. Mickey knew at once what his first spell would be. He did what the sorcerer always did. He pointed his fingers straight at the broom and concentrated. At once, the broom began to shake. Its bristles parted, and he had 2 legs, and then 2 arms appeared. Broom, pick up the buckets, Mickey ordered. The broom walked over to the buckets on the floor, then picked them up with each arm. Follow me, ordered Mickey. The broom did just as he was commanded. Mickey led the broom to the fountain and waited for it to fill the buckets. Then he led it back down the stairs and pointed to the cauldron. The broom poured the water inside. Again and again, the broom marched up the stairs, filled up the buckets, and down the stairs, and poured the water into the cauldron. "Magic is easy," laughed Mickey. "I'll never have to work again." But ordering the broom around had made Mickey so tired. He sat down in the sorcerer's chair. He put up his feet, and Mickey waved his hands, and the broom kept working. Soon, Mickey was sound asleep. Mickey had an amazing dream. He was the most powerful sorcerer in the world. The ocean was at his command. He could create storms with a mere thought and giant crashing waves with a swoop of his hand. Suddenly, something cold and wet woke Mickey up. It was a splash of water. Another splash knocked Mickey out of his chair. He looked around. There was water everywhere. While Mickey slept, the broom had continued to fill the cauldron with water. Now it was overflowing, and the room was flooding. Mickey leapt up. "Stop!" he cried. "Stop, broom! Stop!" But alas, Mickey knew only how to start the magic. He did not know how to make it stop, so the broom continued with its task. Mickey held out his arms, but the broom just pushed him down. He grabbed his buckets and held on tight, but so did the broom. Was there any way to stop the brooms? Then Mickey spotted an axe sitting in the corner and had an idea. Would it work? He picked up the axe and with all his might started chopping at the broom. He chopped and chopped until the broom was nothing but a pile of splinters. Mickey was glad it was over. Whew. But then the splinters began to move. Every tiny piece of wood began to move and grow. Each piece of became a new broom, and each broom grew 2 arms. And they took their buckets and marched straight up the stairs to collect the water. Mickey could not believe his eyes. He tried to stop the brooms, but they just kept knocking him down and walked right over him. The brooms marched in a great line up the stairs with empty buckets and returned down the stairs with full ones. They continued to pour more and more water into the overflowing cauldron. The water rose higher and higher, and Mickey was swept away into the flood. Mickey struggled to stay afloat in the flood. Furniture and magic equipment bobbed and turned into the deepening water. Then Mickey's eye caught something. It was the Sorcerer's Book of Magic. Surely it would help him to tell him how to make things right again. He opened the book and turned the pages, and page after page looking for the magic word to help him stop the brooms. But the water was tossing Mickey back and forth, up and down. It was impossible to read the book, words on the pages. And then the churning water began to swirl. Mickey hung onto the book with all his might, and he spun faster and faster and into a great whirlpool. He was terrified. What had he done? Just when Mickey thought there was no way to escape, a bright light filled the room. The sorcerer had returned. He was walking down the stairs. He took one look at the water covering his workshop. He knew at once what Mickey had done. He was not pleased. The sorcerer raised his arms and shouted a great command. The water parted and began to disappear. He waved his arms again, and the brooms and buckets disappeared. Soon all the water was dried up, and all that was left was Mickey's old broom and buckets. The sorcerer walked over to Mickey and frowned down at him. Mickey knew there was nothing to say. Mickey took off the sorcerer's hat. Seeing that it looked a little crumpled and worn, Mickey tried to make it carefully look nice once again, and he handed the hat back to the sorcerer. Mickey smiled shyly, but the sorcerer just scowled. Mickey gave the old broom to the sorcerer, picked up his buckets, and tried to sneak away. As Mickey sneaked past, the sorcerer gave Mickey's bottom a good hard smack with the broom. Mickey quickly got to work. He had learned his lesson. Never start something you don't know how to finish. And with that, my friends, I believe that was the last page. So here's the next page. More pictures of those beautiful brooms doing their job. And Mickey the Sorcerer. All right. I hope you enjoyed this book.